stand up here because this looks fun. You start both of these and bouncy castles, that'd be excellent. Right, okay, so this is the story of a part-time recluse who was used to feeling like he had no use. And he used that as an excuse to smoke weed every time that he did need a little bit of encouragement, something, anything to help him get through another day. He would play video games from the moment he did wait. Sometimes he felt like his life was a little bit of a waste, but I guess to him that was always okay. The product of a fatherless generation, built up on Thundercat cartoons and family separation. He spent his whole life dreaming, waiting, hoping that whatever comes next will be a slight improvement of his current situation, but it never is. He's tired of not knowing what he's supposed to be doing with his life. He's tired of the routines, the rejections, the conflictions. He would rather drown than ask his friends for help. So he writes about his depression and pretends it's about somebody else. He doesn't find a remedy in his poetry. He doesn't find music therapeutic. He writes to punish himself for the past. Man, I tell ya, he'd make an awesome Catholic. He said he wouldn't commit suicide as long as his mother was still alive. He knows it would break her heart to think that she could not provide the best life for her own son. But sometimes life ain't that simple. Things can get on top of you regardless of all of the people that love you and hold you close and want to keep you strong. But sometimes life is a little bit shit and it's hard to find a reason to carry on. He just wants to be able to dream again, to breathe again, to close his eyes at night and actually sleep again without the demons infesting his head. Instead, they're always there whenever he closes his eyes. So he looks up at the stars as they start to populate the sky, and he lights another joint because it helps him to hide from his own reality. You see, he regrets too much of his past and dwells on the mistakes that he did make. He thinks that it's too late to move past the self-move path that he did create for himself. Or at least that's the way that it always did seem. But now he can't wait to close his eyes and dream that final and everlasting dream. Cheers. Pressing and then lighten the mood a bit. Cool. So, do we all know Star Wars? We're all aware of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Dark side.
Right.
Right.
I'm going to do a different one this time.
Oh.
Are we aware of Jar Jar Binks? Right.
Boo!
And do we all hate Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah.
You're all wrong. Okay?
Get off.
This is a poem about how he's actually the Sith Lord that's been in charge of everything.
No.
Okay, cool. Trust me. Banished to the mainlands of Naboo because they said I was clumsy, but the truth is, in realness, Gungans be straight up scared of me. I get that you probably blame me for ruining many of your childhood memories, but the truth is, y'all don't know half of my story. I'm like Mrs. Pancakes, you don't know me. So I guess at this point, I should probably introduce myself. I used to go by the name Plagueis. I'm the one who trained Emperor Palpatine, taught him everything that he knows about immortality. I'm the one he thought he killed while I was deep in my sleep. I mean, you get that I can both create and end life. Right? I can stop people from dying and shit. So what made you think that you could kill me so easily? Anyway, as my fourth spirit rose and left that decaying body, I searched for a new host, one that could happily sustain me. I came across this newborn, a Gungan, my new home. So fast forward 20 years or so, and I've casually sipped my way into power. So the seeds of mistrust regarding the goodness of the Jedi Order. Taught little orphan Annie the stain towards democracy, and the best thing about it is that he actually trusts me. And the best thing about it is that Emperor Palpatine still has no idea who the fuck I even am. He still thinks he's the master of his own stolen plan, not a puppet on my string, being controlled by a brief swipe of my hand. So now I just kind of hang around in the background, you know, act the generic fool, influence the situation whenever I need to. Keep Anakin nice and cynical while you blunder fuck your way through the rule of two. I tell ya, Batman would be impressed with the amount of apprentices that you go through. First there was Darth Maul, who looked kind of cool but seemingly only badass on paper. Then you fucked up Darth Vader, who ended up needing breathing apparatus in order to continue. Oh shit, yeah, and Count Dooku, who was all kinds of useless. Then you came with General Grievous, who was all kinds of badass, so I'll give you that one, I guess. Anyway, I digress. I destroyed your democracy, handed the power over to Palpatine. You want to talk about the Phantom Menace? Darth Maul ain't got shit on me. I'd be hidden in plain vision, setting my sights on complete domination and the complete destruction of every Jedi and every one of their allies. Why? Because fuck the Jedi. They can eat my dick, that's word to Binks. In fact, fuck the whole light side. They can eat our dick, that's word to Sith. And now it's 30 years later and Palpatine is gone. Killed by that traitor Darth Vader, but trust the dark side is still so strong in me. And believe me when I say that my story is far from done. It's time for the Sith to rise again. This time the puppet on my string will be Darth Vader's grandson. Cheers. Wednesday just gone would have been the 35th birthday of my hero, a guy called Eyedea, a rapper from a band called Eyedea and Abilities. And his lyrics are like some of the strongest things to me. So I just wanted to do like a little tribute kind of thing to his. This is like my favourite song of his spoken word form. Cool. We were born into this river without knowing how to swim, and eventually we learn how to keep the water from under our chins. And sometimes this river's so cold to be in, freezing my soul, solidifying my skin. Regardless of how far I see, I never see my travels end. We're carried by the current, being driven by the wind. The scenery we pass we'll never see again, so we store it up as memories and don't let go of them. We're under the spell thinking that the river should go straight. We set goals and desires to control our own fate. But all the pain we experience is a result of our expectations, because it's the river's nature to twist and turn that shit can burn. And I know it, I have the same conflict, but I like to sit and flow with the river's natural process. But sometimes I like to watch myself float down the stream. I see the beauty of it all, and it feels like a dream. And at that time, I appreciate the river's course. Some call it God, reality, momentum, and force. I stare up at the naked moon as she stares down on me. I sight for boundaries, I'm all I look outward to see. The universe is not something separate from yourself. I know you feel alone, but that's why I'm here to help. I know you feel alone, but just look up at the stars, and everything that is out there is what you really are. We've got to learn to see the beauty in each moment of life. Everyone has different paths, and we're seeking the light. The world is divided between peasants and kings, but the truth is everybody's looking for the same thing. Now I want you to know the role you play is part of the whole. And without you it couldn't be, and I mean that with compassion. So if you ever need anything, I mean anything at all, I'm here for you. All you've got to do is ask, man. I'm here for you in the same way that you're here for me. Each person is an intricate piece of infinity. I feel like if we can see what I see, then we as humanity could be free. I'm here for you, not for any self-centered reason, because existence is interdependent and also related, connected. It's different manifestations of one single mind. You ain't isolated from the world, even though it feels like that sometimes. I see the hurt when you look into your eyes, how you struggle to hold it and keep it bundled inside. It drives a dull baby in my heart, it makes me want to cry. So I offer you a hand to help you wash away the rainy skies. I'm running out of words, but I'm yet to make my message clear. So if none of this makes sense, I just want you to know I'm here. As a student, as a friend, as a teacher, as a poet, to grow and realise that everything's in constant movement. Each path that we take is just a part of this movement. It seems helpless, but if we stick together, we'll get through it. And return to the essence from which we've been uprooted and wake humanity from our illusions. The moment you can look into the stars and see your own reflection, you know you're headed in the right direction. The river's ride ain't all smooth, but with it I live, and everything is perfect just the way it is. We've got to learn to see the beauty in each moment of life. Everyone has different paths and we're seeking the light. The world is divided between peasants and kings, but the truth is everybody's looking for the same thing. Now I want you to know the role you play is part of the whole. Without you it couldn't be, and I mean that with compassion. So if you ever need anything, I mean anything at all, I'm here for you. All you've got to do is ask, man. Cheers. And I just quickly say that if you didn't like that, that wasn't down to him, that was down to my performing, okay? So you should all go and check out Eyedea and Eyedea and Abilities, that'll be awesome of you. Cool, right then, okay, so obviously I'm super into hip hop and everything, okay? So there's so much good hip hop out there that people just completely ignore, and this is a poem about said hip hop. Cool, so the idea that hip-hop is a slowly dying art form is a perfectly acceptable opinion when you're only taking into consideration 80% of what's in the mainstream, with so many irresponsible lessons being fed to our younger generations. And as it breaks my heart, I start to realise that those lessons were there from the very start. You see, my early teens can be pretty much summed up with these 5 things. Hip-hop, hardcore, DC Comics, Mike Patton, Twin Peaks, and let's be honest, at the age of 35, not much has really changed in my life. Now, to me, hip-hop and hardcore were always interchangeable, ethical and political. The message rise above it all. But the misogyny, the homophobia, and the racism run so deep, if we just read between the lines, that our heroes once did speak. Growing up listening to Dre and the D.O.G.G., I didn't think saying bitch was meant to be derogatory. I just wanted to be cool like everyone into my motherfuckers in my school. I wore my Onyx hoodie with pride, Wu-Tang hat tilted to one side, and besides, it's not like this music was anything that I could relate to. Had no need for an AK, had no need to cap no fools, because life's pretty mundane in the WGC. It's kind of lame being BRIDGE. You see, small town kids feel the need to feel bigger. So they start acting tough and using the words, inappropriate turns of phrase. So many homophobic slurs, it's like it's a crime to be gay, which is obviously not okay. So then what I started to do was branching out a little bit, finding some music that actually spoke to me. Like Most Def, Jurassic 5, Del Gill, Public Enemy. Still coming from streets that I'd never walked, but endorsing an ethic that I could support. Hip-hop with a conscious thought. Listening to every single word that KRS-One taught. I found wisdom in his lyricism. I couldn't help but sit and listen. So every lesson that he was teaching, the words he was preaching, soon became my religion. So now it's what, 2016? And you want to tell me that hip-hop needs to get in the fucking sea, but before you make that opinion for yourself, I suggest you go listen to some Doomtree. Brother Ali and Talib Kweli. Atmosphere. Eyedea. Ron the Jules. Scroobius Pip. Sage Francis. B. Dolan. Immortal Techniques. Sol Williams. They remind us that hip-hop is art. It's a way for us to voice our opinions. Hip-hop is a way for us to rage against the system. It's not a platform for violence, sexism and racism. Hip-hop should be poetry and not your misogyny. So if you want to ask me, who needs to get in the fucking sea? Well, it's Drake. Obviously. Cheers. Right, I didn't know what one to do next. So do you want another Star Wars one, or do you want a Batman
Star
one?
Wars, Star Wars.
Do you want the Stormtrooper? Okay, cool. Right then. And that was it. The Death Star was destroyed and I was suddenly unemployed, left out in the void of the real world. Where all the real work is done by droids, life wasn't like this before I was deployed. Because they told me that the Empire needed me. I had to prepare to die if I wanted to be free. There is rebel scum all over the galaxy, and by the time this is over, I'll even have a college degree, plus a nice plot of land on Dantooine, where I can chill and expand on my family. But life doesn't always pan out the way that we do see, so now I sleep on the streets of blissers, occupying my feet, you see. War would be glorious, at least that's what they told all of us, not prepared for all of the horrors that will be presented before us. Women and children demoralised, innocent farmers burned alive. There's a reason most of us didn't shoot straight. We just didn't want to end any more lives. I'm a good person, but war makes you do terrible things. Innocence can turn to violence when you're surviving by any means, creating widows and creating orphans like it's going out of fashion, killing indiscriminately, then using the excuse we were simply following direction, which we were. But trust that don't make the sleeping any easier. The alcohol can bring the numbness, but the psychological damage runs much deeper. I've seen my best friends cut down in a prime, fighting for a war that's yours and not mine. We stood side by side, fighting for what we thought right. It's only we knew how the Empire had lied. So now I'm stranded on Mos Eisley, not even sure what happened to my fallen brothers. I heard that some of them managed to flee and regroup into the Outer Rim sectors. Trying to continue this bullshit war, not even sure what it is they're fighting for. Just a bunch of soldiers without a cause while I stand here and try to ignore the looks on people's faces as they slowly pass me by. They probably just think I'm a down and out who's given up on life. Who knows? Maybe they're right. Even if they knew what I'd been through, they wouldn't be happy with the side that I did fight, the dark side, and not the light. I wonder if I'll even see any sleep tonight. Cheers. That's my story. Right, we'll do one more now, okay? A bunch of you have been to Spoken Word London. I'm sure you've all heard this, I'm sure you're all sick of it. But it's a poem about a cat that I love who's a massive, massive bellend, okay? So this is about her. We've got this cat named Kitty, and she doesn't care too much for me, even though I talk to her in Dothraki and do all the things you need to do to try and keep a cat healthy. I give her eats and I buy her treats. And I don't get mad when she shits all over my sheets. Or when she tries to kill me by tripping up my feet, I'm still like, oh, you're so sweet. And she looks at me like, who the fuck are you? Don't you fucking look at me, where the fuck is my food? Go to the fridge, go to the couch, then deliver food to mouth, then fuck you, I'm out. I'm gonna go and hunt this mouse. And she kind of looks like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, with sad eyes that hide in a little ball of fluff. But she'll rip the shit out of your posts if you don't pay her enough attention. And just like POS, she'll be like, fuck your stuff. But I still do love that little kitty, even though she clearly prefers my housemates to me. And although she'll never invite me to one of her cat parties, at least she ain't a fucking dog.